Oh, thank you to the Saboteur Awards Festival for having me here, and of course to the wonderful poetry business for supporting me and for the publication of my new collection, The Kindness of the Eel. Unfortunately, due to lockdown, I haven't got a copy here to share with you physically, so this is going to be a truly digital experience for both of us. My collection is about stories and voices that speak from different times and from across Europe, exploring identity and place. My first poem is called The Thoughts of Charles Byrne. Charles Byrne was born with giganticism in the 18th century, and his skeleton is still displayed against his will at the Hunterian Museum in London. The Thoughts of Charles Byrne. When the sun went down, and darkness crept in, slick as an afterthought, and I fell off the tongue of God like the last line of the sacrament, I said to George, I told him, "Don't let them take me. My earthly carriage is my own. Bury me within the water, I beg you. Don't let them touch." We gathered round his deathbed quickly, nay, I'm not ashamed to say, eagerly, writes Dr. Morton of Chelsea. Lord, I know I was mean once. As a child I killed a dog that came too close, dropped the stone from my height like a judgment, then the nails digging into palms, bent double to allow for pa's beating. The subject is 7 foot 7 inches tall, this remarkable condition being brought on by some abnormality, evidence of pituitary tumour at the base of the skull, writes a medical report, 1909. Was it this, George? Tell me, what is the reason I have stood to attention for all this taut time, wires binding my chafing limbs? Was it the drink? Surely it cannot be his will that my crown's closeness to the heavens keeps me from the sleeping earth he calls the remaining world too. His grand height originating, it's heard by some reliable quarters, from his being conceived on the top of a very tall haystack, writes the Herald newspaper, 1782. Why do I remember the dirt between seat-crammed rows, the applause as I danced for unknown eager faces behind lights, crowds as I lit my pipe off the lamplights of Catgate Bridge, all those catcalls and hand-claps which gave relieved thanks that they were not me? Where was that place, George? Tell me. Sometimes I forget. Where am I? We saw him drink from a teapot once. It was right frightful to watch. Mamma told me he would eat us alive if we didn't go to bed when told, writes Sarah Price, an audience member. I once knew Elspeth at the Royal. Arms broad from too many days' work, a chest that beckoned you in, eyes that could swallow a week's savings. I'll have another round, Elspeth, and one for yourself. And 1 shilling for the driver, and 10 shillings for the law to avert its omniscient gaze to get the object away to safety, writes John Hunter, surging. I was stripped. A shocking act, myself stolen and boiled from my bones. Where am I, George? I'm not home, I can tell. No, not gone yet. The specimen is a wonder to behold, with a normal man placed beside for all to see the medical event, writes Richard Gables, medical student. Oh, I have been held still for longer than I breathe this very air. I am tired, George, so tired. Just let me kneel. Lie down on the seabed's blessed floor. The Discovery. Today they found the ship that Herodotus had described over 2,000 years ago, lying still like a secret under dark waters, silently shoring up his words with its hard timber ribs, mooring itself at last alongside our consciousness. Will I too be found in some unthinkable future? Will the measurement tape circle my temples and confirm that I existed, that I loved and was loved, that I gave and was given to? Or will I appear under clumsy, careless fingers that have no knowledge of who they touch? At night, I wonder if the border guard stole your passport and changed places with you. Is he out there somewhere, living an alternate life, drinking that tea with orange that you like, wearing the jewellery you got from your mother. In bed, your hands feel perfunctory, searching me methodically, looking for something they cannot find. It's been very fun choosing which poems to read for you this evening. During the Second World War, there was a struggle between Poland and Ukraine in the areas of Galicia and Volhynia, and a group of Ukrainian nationalist paramilitary who called themselves the Banderists, because they were led by a man called Bandera, committed genocide in these areas in the early 1940s. This poem is called "The Banderist Grows Old." It is summer in his Lviv, and every year he feels it more acutely through papery skin, as if his body is reducing under daylight. His life is regular now, shrunken to a point. He doesn't feel the need to wash his hands before dinner, where he regularly eats 4 potatoes, 1 carrot, 1 roll of bread. Watch, he cuts the fish expertly, slitting it smoothly from neck to navel. The knife is sharp, always. There is no space between the borders of his days for unnecessary movement, for questions, for debate. Often, in his old age, he forgets his glasses, and if you asked him now where to dig, he doubts he'd remember. His neighbours know him as one of the heroes, last of a nation builders, in a country where everyone has seen blood and no one knows or asks the other whose it was. He likes the sound of cats purring and of afternoon traffic, just sitting and letting thoughts drift back to a tree, a village, a courtyard, the well, sunshine, the rope, the axe, and what happened there. So not all poems are incredibly bleak, such as that one. This one's called "The Kindness of the Eel." The kindness of the eel. You opened your mouth, and an eel came out, sliding from between your lips and gasping into the air. "Take this," you said. "These are my best words, my midnight flights, my early morning distillations. Eels," you said, "do not stutter. Look, they flow like liquid. They do not take more than they need. They are the best of us." I watched it swim away out of the bedroom window. But often, when I least expect it, it returns, a slow swagger through the air, brushing past the curtains whilst I sleep, curling into the nest of my inner ear. Herons. That day we saw 2 herons playing chess in the sky above us, so careful, so considered. We were returning from your uncle's, where you'd balanced plumstones on my plate and had berated me for damaging the spider's webs. This poem wasn't meant to be about you, but sometimes herons land in the strangest of places. The next poem is built from a conversation with a friend I had who was born in Bosnia in the early 90s. Built off stories that she told me and of the experience there. So this one's called "Family Photo Album, Tunisia, 1996. In nearly every shot, your green dress ruffles softly in unseen wind, like a cry. It is late June, air hot as coffee and cheeks red as peppers, as you shed your old skins amongst the umbrellas and ice creams. "Don't worry, Machka Khwala," your mother always said. "Lucky children don't burn." And so you'd escape into the breakers under a borderless sky with the universal gasp of skin on seawater. They're crumbling now, the plastic slips you keep yourselves in, the brittleness of memories eating away at their edges, a meticulous reality of restauranted evenings and photo timers. Here you are, on the log flume. Your fringe was longer then. All girls had their hair this way. It was the Sarajevo style. Here's you playing confused decoy, told to sit still as your mother surreptitiously snaps the first black man either of you have seen. In this one, your mother grasps your hand, but she is looking away, above the camera, perhaps to a future you will now never have, where the party badges glint in the sun, where T stands not for Tata but for Tito. Or perhaps to the afternoon when 200 Muslims were thrown from cliffs and she managed to rescue 3 boys from the wreckage. There is no photo of this. Instead, there is just you two, here. Her handhold is so tight, knuckles white and strained, trying to keep you in this moment, trying to keep you from that fishbowl-shaken city where the walls are all halved and the people do not dare to cross the street. I thought I'd end on a personal note with a poem about my grandparents. My grandparents lived in Zimbabwe, what was then Rhodesia, and they moved back in the 1970s, back to the UK. And they took with them, they were allowed to take with them only a suitcase, obviously a few suitcases. This poem is called Inventory of the Contents of My Grandparents' Suitcase on Their Journey from Bulawayo, Rhodesia to Heathrow, England. 2 pairs of custom-made sheepskin jackets, double thickness, to keep out the British chill. 1 jumbled box of doll's house equipment, destined to be lost down endless floorboards. 4 battered bush hats, dented by memories and missing their chin straps. 1 dog collar, without dog, kept simply because it could not be kept. 1 box of secrets, said to hold a human heart and sealed shut with wax. 29 socks, one of which is still mourning its soulmate, left on the floor of a cheap hotel room on a distant continent. 1 signet ring, belonging to Cecil Rhodes. 3 small beads from the ruins of Great Zimbabwe, which hold the key to the purpose of the ancient site and which will be hunted for fruitlessly by archaeologists for decades to come. 1 ceremonial sabre, adorned with the BSAP crest, destined to be swung, stolen and fought over by generations of grandchildren. 4 pots and pans, hopelessly trying to tessellate in the packed space. 2 elephant tusks, reputedly given by King Leopold II of Belgium to his wife as a gift and bought in a flea market in Nyasaland in 1954. 1 framed wedding photo. Contains 2 smiling faces, 1 old English church, 1 entwined future. 1 original document of the Unilateral Declaration of Independence, the heaviest item in this case. 1 rubber snake, pulled unwillingly from under the floorboards and dragged by its tail across the ocean. 3 shoeboxes of photographic slides, each of these images containing more than this entire box. 1 small flightless stone bird nesting in a pair of shoes. No one's quite sure what it is or how it got there. 4 small African masks, kept almost ironically as souvenirs of a life they cannot attempt to summarize and which will hang in nondescript hallways in a succession of suburban English homes. 2 children, who are thinking of all the trees in the African bush left unclimbed and who have no knowledge of just how damp and cold their British winters will be. Thank you very much.